Questions?
Yes. So
Is
any
the
questions?
Oasis submission portal open right now? Not
Yes.
No,
Well, the portal's not open yet.
portal's
though.
not open. Again, there are also probably 15 parts of the proposal that are of significance that say to be determined, issued with the final RFP. So they've not finished baking this thing.
Yeah, we're in a draft right now.
But start now,
Yeah.
because enough of it is solid that
What's the expected timeline for finalization?
There was just an update yesterday, Mary Beth. So we have to check that. I'll get that out to you. There was a brand new update that just came out. I didn't read it. Somebody told me that a new update came out, so we need to go do that. But I'll put the update out to you guys.
did they reissue or just an announcement?
No, an announcement. Another update.
Chris, after your 15-hour day yesterday, you didn't take emails last night?
That was
What are you doing? Is the domain can be discussed starting soon, even though we're still in flux and all that?
No, domain descriptions are in section
Yeah.
C2. They have not morphed at all, really, since
Yeah.
since second draft before.
Okay.
So the 1115 draft of the section C2 with the domain descriptions, that's where I get the keywords,
Yeah.
that has not changed.
Yeah, so this has just been completed, right? So Mark just completed this about a week ago.
Okay.
We wanted to come to this event, so all of this is coming out to you now. So now this will be followed out, so you guys can start feeding us back in,
Yeah.
and then we can start evaluating.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you can probably.
Yeah, we just did a cursory evaluation on what we
Yeah,
did
yeah,
in
yeah.
Polaris, and we said, let's start there, let's do that, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
He did the cursory evaluation, he went forensic on the RFP,
Yeah.
he tilted up the framework and the structure now, and now we can feed the
Yeah,
framework
because based on
and
that
structure.
scoring, we can
Yes.
kind of determine where
Absolutely.
we score best, and then that's going to
Absolutely.
kind of determine the domain we should operate.
Exactly. Just to reiterate what I said a minute ago, many of the people circling the Beltway are starting and saying, oh, I love domain X. Let me try to shoehorn stuff in there.
Yeah.
Wrong answer. What are our best scoring contracts and what domains do those lead us
That's
to?
my 2 cents. Yes.
That's the
And therefore.
win in green bold letters.
And therefore, Mark, you should have been here yesterday. Therefore, past performance.
Yes.
Oh,
CBAR.
yeah.
NAICS code, PSC
That's
code,
right.
word keyword search.
So
See-
yes,
CBAR.
but we can do other things. I know, but we don't have the past performance.
Yeah.
I hate that word, by the way. I'm learning to hate that word.
Yes, and everybody, yeah, because it's unmovable, right? It's a little bit moldable, but it's really hard.
Is it
It's
a
unmovable.
catch-22? You can do it, but you can't do it because you don't have the
There,
past performance.
there
But you
are
could do it.
ways. Yeah,
Like-
there are.
You
there
can
are
you
ways
can
around it,
finesse that
Finesse, good
through
but there is a. Yeah,
through your highlighting and indexing. But
Yes.
again, that's not the easy button.
no,
That's
yeah, that's PPP
5
land.
times
Yeah.
more work by my
So
estimate.
I know a lot of people around the room have capabilities like us that are probably not documented behind an SOW or a contract or a past experience, right? So is it fair to say that if we enter into the Oasis via domain, and once we're in and we have a approved contract and we're working on it, is there an easier way to finesse yourself to then expand and go to these additional the areas?
Oh, yeah,
that
you
we can
can-
then get the CPARs,
There will be-
and now you'll have that for the
Yeah,
future.
there will be in Oasis Plus an on-ramping process. But that means that if you're going to on-ramp to a whole different domain, you're going to need to pick up the same level of experience in that domain that you had in the one you've already marked.
Yeah. I think there's a strategy around
Oh,
that.
there is, and the the easy button that Mark is talking about. Let's say that I pull 2 past performances that are viable in Intel. That means I have to go out and get 3. Or I mean, I could go through and look for PPQs and stuff like that, or I could just go out and pull somebody on that has the actual, which is what we did with MTA.
Remember that two things: credits and enough credits to meet the threshold. The CPAR is where I started because you all have them, or you have a equivalent to PPQ. That's the key to determining whether you really are qualified to do technical
Right.
and engineering by the way they define it with keywords. But you're automatically relevant if you have one of the magic NAICS codes or the PSC. Now, I have suggested to Chris that there are several questions that need to be asked, because within a family of NAICS codes, they've picked the most obscure one.
Of course.
541710 is a parent NAICS code. I think they picked 715 because that's the small business less than 27 million code, okay? But why didn't but you have in some of your CPARs 541710 because it's the more general one, and that's really best practice for a contracting officer. But the government screwed up. So anyway, there's
So now we
questions
gotta
that have to be
keep-
asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark, you just said a key information here on so in our case, we registered and we got our schedule for GSA outside of this, right? So we got our schedule for GSA, and we were at that time below the threshold of 16.5. Not that I'm going to talk my numbers, but we're beyond this now, right? Good for us. And what happened if it's a small business set aside and us, we kind of are above and beyond the threshold? We still pass the test because our GSA is good for 5 years. Does the GSA has anything to do with any of this? How does that work? Because we're GSA was 16 million 5. We're past that.
No, if
Yeah.
you
And we're
got,
not going to go back.
yeah, it's when you receive
Right.
the award. Where were you then? At what financial level were you when you received the award?
Yes, we were at that level. Yes,
And that counts for the 5 years.
yes. Okay. I got 3 more years.
Run like hell.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay.
And that's absolutely what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But what I would tell you is that with vehicles, when you enter in, what about the grandfathering rule on the vehicles, Mark?
Is your GSA schedule a small business
Yep.
schedule?
Yep.
Then you know, I'd have to.
We have to check that.
I'd have to
Yeah.
ask the contract first.
Yeah, we have to
I don't
check that.
want
I
to
can
make a
give you the
mistake.
information we have on our.
Yeah,
side.
yeah. There's just some legalities here we have to check into before we make a statement
Yeah,
about
I was
grandfathering.
once part owner of a woman-owned small business, but we got acquired before we had that problem.
Yeah.
I had this one first.
so, just a slide before. Is this going to be a repeatable process for IDAQ?
Yes.
My suspicion is that the government is far more interested in consistency than in accuracy. So they will learn from this that they can eliminate protest or reduce the number of protests and ease their own evaluation criteria and, you know, collect their 30 years and age 55 and retire by doing this, and it's a lot less trouble.
This is also one of the reasons why we created a joint venture, because small businesses die in this process,
Yeah.
right? I mean, this is the reason why we're counting on everybody, and that's the reason why if I don't have enough Intel experience, we may need to go pull some more Intel experience into the JV or into into the mix, so that we can qualify.
And
You know.
I will tell you from the Polaris, working with the Polaris 5 that we picked, there's some just astonishing capabilities in this joint venture.
Yes.
And I'm also familiar with the other joint venture that is a partner of yours,
Yes.
DVU, and they're 100% service disabled, and they have some amazing capabilities. Stuff that I would never imagine doing. So you have what amounts to 40-some companies that are potential teammate partners here.
Mhm.
Okay, good. Last slide.
Yeah, we got
I have one
two other
question.
questions.
Oh,
So
Jeff?
do you expect the customers
Two
that were on Oasis to be the same as Oasis Plus? Or like with the domains, is that an
There are-
indicator about different customer bases?
One of the differences between Polaris and Oasis Plus is thus far, until it's either protested or Q&A, there's no large business mentorship allowed in Oasis Plus. All JVs have to be 100% small business. Now, are the FDICs and the khakis and the IBMs and the Paratons, Lidoses, all going to jump up and scream and yell and threaten GSA? Yes. So this may not, you know, the first day the final RFP goes out, there's going to be a dozen or more protests.
Isn't there a large business track
There is.
out there?
There is a separate large business track, but that doesn't mean that the hogs that are at the trough, these big, fluffy companies like the ones I used to work for, are not going to snuffle up to their best captive small business and try to shuffle in on $68 billion.
They want everything.
Oh yeah,
They want
yeah,
everything.
Yes.
They wanna crush
yes.
it.
Yep.
They're very much the
They're hungry beavers.
they're very
My
much the
question was
Putins
meant-
of
I
the
meant
industry.
buying
Oh, okay.
Yeah, totally gonna use the vehicle.
So, just a quick question, two questions actually. Yeah, you mentioned 93,000 points out of 95,000, is that correct?
That's
Yeah.
Polaris.
Yes.
And so, and you're saying the current system is being automated in terms of evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we were to get, say, equivalent on this one, is that a guarantee that we're gonna be able to get something, or everybody's doing the same thing and they're all gonna come out? Yeah.
You had to score more highly on Polaris to be in the pool. Okay, and was there a fixed limitation on the number of awardees?
Yes.
The fixed limitation awardees.
This one doesn't.
No fixed limitation. Use the KISS method. If you get the threshold, you're in.
Okay.
If they agree that you claimed your
Right.
points, or your credits, credits correctly, you're in.
No, so the second question is, out of the $133 billion potential of this contract, is an idea, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So there's a large and small
One track for large and then the rest.
and the rest. So do we have any idea if there's a breakdown of, you know, are they gonna be getting 120 billion and then there's gonna be 10 billion left, or is it gonna be evenly split, or? Yeah.
I think there is an answer to that. I just don't know what it is.
I think it was.
Okay.
I think they talked about that at the original
Yeah.
industry day, but that's been
Yeah.
what, 2
It's
years
on
ago?
the GSA website, so we
Yeah.
can pull that off and
Okay.
send that out, yeah.
I-
I mean, it doesn't really change a lot, it's just more of
Yeah.
a, you know, because
Yeah.
133 sounds like a lot, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
taking
yeah. No,
that
it's still
5%.
big.
Yeah.
It's still big. I mean, you break that down to the domains, and of course, you know, there are certain domains that will command a lot of that money just because of the type of work that moves through the domain.
Right.
You know, so there is a breakdown, I'm sure.
But
Yeah.
back to what Mark was saying, if there is no distinction between this much goes to small business versus large businesses, large business will gobble every single penny out of
Yeah.
133 billion because they have the resources, right?
No, they
to
can't.
Market, to market that vehicle.
Well, they will certainly try, but they'll have to go through small business doors to do it. Right? They can't go around small business when it's a small business set aside, but they will partner. They will try to. They will have their favorite stepchildren.
So that's a marketing opportunity that even though there's a large business track, there will still be government set aside rules. So that's why these folks are teaming. They would love to team up
Flip flop.
ways.
and do flip flop
Flip flop. Right.
Yeah.
by some kind of mentorship. Sir.
The large businesses also have a requirement to give a large percentage of their work to small businesses.
Yeah.
Right.
So the JV could theoretically
Yes.
pony up to some of the
So
large ones.
that's the collective marketing challenge you have,
Yes.
is to go find your most friendly large business and say, hey, I'm bringing this consortium and we're gonna bid on these domains and we are gonna win.
Possibly, yeah.
Are they on Polaris?
No, they're not on our Polaris. No. No, we're in the small business and studio beat track, and now some.
Okay, I think I got one slide left, questions, but I think we've probably already covered that.
Just to answer Ben, that's a very selective process. So whether it's a Lockheed or a Raytheon, they have, in some cases, joint ownership of these smaller companies. So they buy in and they feed them and they grow them and then they acquire them. So it's just a whole strategy of how they do it, right? So it's not like they come out to a company like us and team. They have an ownership position and they grow and they farm. They learn how to farm and then they acquire. They get positions in, yeah. So
This
it's
is
a whole
like
this is
to-
a
they like to eat.
semi-organic way of growing your
Yeah,
business.
absolutely.
It's not, you're not acquiring someone you don't know. You
Right,
have
right.
kind of
It's your-
cultivated
Yeah, it's your children.
And therefore their big
Yeah.
appetite.
and then they grab them.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, that's how our woman-owned small business got bought by SAIC. We were one of their partners.
Okay, so,
Questions, comments?
yeah, any other questions? Mary Beth, you had
Sorry,
a,
it was about the agencies who are expected to use the vehicle. And is there a difference between Oasis and this new version expected, or is it?
This is how agencies are gonna fulfill their 27% or 38% small business as a contracting shop. Because your chief acquisition officer of the Federal Aviation Administration has in their personal performance report, I spread X percentage to small business this year for prime contract awards. And that's the way they do it. So the VA, the FAA are big buyers of stuff.
But I mean, specifically with
HHS,
Oasis,
I'm sorry.
specifically with Oasis.
Oasis is a MAC, okay, and the individual agencies are more and more reluctant not to be, they're reluctant to offer their own MACs when GSA has them. Because you see civil agencies going out of their way to use C4E before these other vehicles came along. Does this replace Alliant?
yeah, no, Alliant is coming out this year. Yeah, we're targeting that one next.
As much as GSA says over the years they're going to consolidate vehicles, they wind up not doing it. They're predictable on that for the last 35 years.
Yeah,
I won't say-
Oasis
I won't
was
say
a
really how long
wind-up.
I've been in this business.
Yeah. Oasis is a roll-up of a lot of vehicles. So
Yeah.
they've terminated a lot of vehicles and are rolling all that money up underneath Oasis and bringing it to one large MAC across the domains. Where Polaris is a little more focused on a real vertical IT, basically. This is going to do, roads and commodes, mechanical engineering. I mean, this thing has domains for everything in
I
it.
just don't know, like, I'm primarily DOD, and I just don't know which other agencies or if DOD would be encouraged to use this. I mean, certain shops, I guess, have their favorites.
Well, you got
Their
DOD, what is, STARS?
Yeah,
They have
guess.
STARS, and they've got
I test.
ITES, and then DISA has a bunch of stuff if you're in the DISA world.
Yeah.
Kind of think there's the Navy has a couple of vehicles.
The current Oasis is
Seaport.
is being used
Seaport.
a lot by civilian agencies, like DOI uses it a lot,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm just not familiar
USDA
with
uses
that.
it a lot.
Because Intel seems like a strange domain to put in there unless you were expecting DOD.
It's in everything and it's everywhere.
Well,
So, I
yeah,
mean,
and
it's,
I mean, they all have.
when you read the Intel domain,
Yeah.
it's 85% cybersecurity,
right,
RMF,
right.
blah, 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 ATOs,
Yeah.
assessment and accreditation,
Yeah, that's what we do. So
They have-
thank you for the
so I won't refer to that as shelfware then, I'm sorry. My daughter's a CISSP.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Okay.
All right,
Okay, great.
well, thank you for the opportunity, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.